So I was talking about the journey of excellence, that is how things in Six Sigma has evolved. So initially during 1920 and 40s, during this time, people were talking and focusing on inspection. And during that time only, Frederick Taylor, who was a prominent figure in the field of management, he given the thought of time and motion studies in initial days, and people used to focus on inspection, and control was primarily on inspection. Moving on, 1940 and 60, during this time, the focus has come to statistical process control. Some of the prominent figure in the field of quality management, like Dr. Edward Deming, who is also given concept of ADCA, and Walter Stewart, who was given the concept of control chart. So during this time, that is 1940 and 60s, we used to start talking about statistical controls, statistical techniques, quality control, and focus on analysis has also come during this time. And moving on, 1960 and 1980, during that time, people started talking about quality assurance. So thing has been evolving. You can see first about inspection, then quality control, then moving on to TQM, that is total quality management. So during this time, 1960 and 80s, total quality management has surfaced, and there were lots of other initiatives or techniques has surfaced, like total productive maintenance, just in time, quality circle. Then Koru Ishikawa, who has also given the concept of Ishikawa diagram or fishbone diagram. Then Philip B. Crosby, who has given the concept of cost of quality and zero defect. So these were very typical contents which were discussed during this time. And 1987 and beyond, Six Sigma has surfaced, and people have moved on from percentage wise measurement of rejections to concept of zero defect, talking about PPM. So Bill Smith, who is also known as father of Six Sigma, he basically popularized this concept of Six Sigma, started at Motorola. And because of implementation of Six Sigma at Motorola, Motorola was able to beg Malcolm Baldry's National Quality Award, MBN QA, twice. And business process reengineering was also talk of the town during this time. And 2000 and beyond, then people started talking about Lean Six Sigma, because earlier there were Lean and Six Sigma, both were done parallelly. And there were, in most of the organizations, there were two leaders. One would be driving Lean and the other would be driving Six Sigma. But during this time, people started understanding the benefit of using both the initiatives. So in fact, at Quality of India also, we have a Lean Six Sigma program and certification. Lean Six Sigma yellow belt, green belt, and black belt, because we understand that Lean and Six Sigma both work hand in hand. Both have different merits also. Primarily talking about Lean, this talks about war against waste or elimination of waste, whereas Six Sigma talks about the reduction in variation. Now, furthermore, talking about history of Six Sigma, in 1980, Will Smith, who was an engineer and scientist at Motorola, he coined this term Six Sigma and started measuring things in terms of parts per million. Because earlier people used to measure in terms of percentage, but now when you magnify things while measuring PPM, then the focus also comes and management starts focusing on higher number. For example, if the percentage rejection is 2%, and if you turn that into PPM, then 2% will become 20,000 PPM. Okay, so it magnifies, then it brings attention of management also. And because of implementation of Six Sigma at Motorola, they were able to beg Malcolm Baldry's National Quality Award twice, first in 1988 and second time in 2002. And Bill Smith is known as father of Six Sigma. We've already discussed. There are lot many companies who are practicing Six Sigma, and there are many companies from India also talking about Infosys, Wipro. We talk about Tata Motors, Mahindra, or lot many manufacturing and service sectors are there. If you talk about service sectors, almost all kinds of BPOs and KPO, they're all practicing Six Sigma. In IT also, Infosys, Wipro, they also practice Six Sigma. They're also consulting organization. In fact, Wipro not only practicing, but also they are consulting Six Sigma, implementing Six Sigma at other organizations. Some of the other prominent name in the world, like 3AM, Mars, Bank of America, Bechtel, Caterpillar, Convergys, Boeing, GE, and Motorola, of course, Ford. They're all practicing Six Sigma and they are reaping benefits also by implementing Six Sigma. So when we talk about Six Sigma, it primarily focuses on reduction of variation. So as we know that variation and defects, this needs to be measured, minimized, and ideally eliminated. So when you start measuring something, then you start focusing also. And when you start focusing, then things started improving. Okay, so whatever gets measured, that gets focused, and whatever gets focused gets improved. So, for example, the top management, when they start reviewing certain things on a regular basis, then rest of the people would be also falling into place and they would be also reviewing those things on a regular basis. Okay, and when there is focus, there is improvement. Okay, and it will be recognized. There will be reward and recognition. And when there are reward and recognition, then it becomes a culture. That's how it is. So, what exactly is Six Sigma? Talking about Six Sigma, it's a philosophy wherein we work on reduction of variation, reducing mistakes or errors. It involves lots of statistical measurement wherein we check, we measure based on the facts, how the product or the process is behaving or how the service is behaving. And based on the measurement, based on the data, we make our business strategy and that ultimately reduces cost. To talk about reducing cost, this could be any kind of cost. There would be improvement in productivity, there would be improvement in quality. And because of all those improvement, there will be reduction in cost of poor quality, there will be reduction in consumable cost, maintenance cost, whichever area we are focusing, there will be improvement. So this can be applied any department, any function, any organization, any industry. So Six Sigma can be used and it is being used by all industry and all the departments, in fact. So I myself have mentored and coached more than 1,000 projects. In fact, I have been heading operational excellence at a global level in some of the MNCs. So I have mentored, driven, trained thousands of Six Sigma, yellow belt, green belt, black belts, and in fact, master black belts also in many of the multinationals. So this is beneficial for all the companies, irrespective of their processes, whether they are into manufacturing or service industry. Okay, so it's basically a tool for improving the business processes, achieving customer satisfaction, and adding value to the shareholders, and reducing the defects in our products and processes. So significant improvement in level of performance. When you talk about Six Sigma, this is primarily used for breakthrough improvement. Unlike other tools or methodology like 8D or Kaizen or Quality Circle, they basically focus on small improvement. Whereas talking about Six Sigma, this talks about breakthrough improvement. So we talk about 40% of improvement, 50% of the improvement, saving in lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs of saving. Okay, so those level of targets we make, Six Sigma. That's why this is also close to the top managements also, because top management, they are particular about financial aspect. And when we talk about finance, we talk about bottom line impact. Top management also pays attention. And in Six Sigma, use lots of statistical tools to measure, analyze, and improve and control our processes. There are 5 phases in Six Sigma, talking about DMAC, that is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Okay. And with the help of these 5 phases and various analytical and statistical tools, we make improvement. So this also gives commitment to our customer to achieve an exceptional level of performance. So talking about Six Sigma further, it's a systematic approach of process improvement. So over here you can see, in this process, we can see here, we have lower specification limit over here and we have upper specification limit over here. And here we can see there are improvement. Now, since there are lots of parts outside lower specification limit here, this side, and some parts outside upper specification limit, and basically that leads to rejection. So huge amount of rejections over here and very high variation. So Six Sigma talks about reduction in variation. So we have made improvement and now the variation has improved. So we can see that the building is taller. Okay. So it's a histogram. Now here we have gaps in each of the sides, which also means that the process is well within the specification limit. There is no rejections, and variation is also less. So that's how it works in Six Sigma. Okay, so it's a systematic approach to process improvement, and this also can be used for designing. For designing, we can use design for Six Sigma, that is DFSS, and in case of routine manufacturing or existing processes, we will be using DMAC. Okay, so where all we can apply Six Sigma can be applied anywhere. It can be applied in all companies, all processes, and if we have design application, we can apply DFSS, that is design for Six Sigma. For manufacturing application, we can use DMAC. For administrative and service application, we can use DMAC. So operational services and operational Six Sigma and transitional Six Sigma, we can use for designing also. So both the methodologies are available. We will also talk about why Six Sigma is really beneficial for any organization and why an individual should also go for Six Sigma certification. What kind of benefits an individual can also have. So Six Sigma is required for business survival because currently in the current market scenario, if you see, the trend is very competitive and companies are struggling to get a customer. They are struggling to retain their business, and they need to have best practices in place. And Six Sigma is one of the prominent practices which is used in industry. Okay, so this will be accelerating your process improvement and helping you meet customer expectation, and it will be also helping you to establish process with a proven history. But this has been practiced by thousands and millions of the companies, and they have got lots of benefit. Talking about some of the few names, for example, General Electric. You know, General Electric is a very old company and founded by Thomas Alva Edison. And General Electric, they have a system, they have a culture that if people working in General Electric, they are not at least green belt certified, then they would not be eligible for increment or promotion. So that's how the culture over there. So everybody must attend Six Sigma training program, and they must be also going through and doing projects. So that's what the culture at General Electric. And there are many more companies, for example, DuPont, Motorola, they have a culture like this, wherein everybody needs to participate some or the other way in Six Sigma journey. Okay, so the goal of Six Sigma is reduction in variation, reduction in defects, and improving process yield, and enhancing customer satisfaction, and improving the bottom line. So ultimately, all these improvement would lead to making profit. That's what the aim of an organization, and making customer satisfaction. So customer would be satisfied, and everybody would be happy. So when we talk about focus of Six Sigma, there is an equation which is y is equal to fx. So y over here is dependent variable, and this depends on x, which is called independent variable. There could be one x, there could be multiple x's also. X means you can call them root causes. So there are some causes. If controlled properly, then we can influence the y positively. That's what the meaning of y is equal to, or y is a function of x. ठीक है ना? X को identify करना, we need to identify axis, control axis. So y means dependent variable. These are not controlled, these are monitored, whereas axes are controlled. So we need to identify the root cause, we need to control them through control chart, we need to optimize them, and by controlling and optimizing axis, we will be influencing y. That's how it works in Six Sigma. And y is called dependent variable. This is also called output of the process. This is also called effect. This is also called symptom. This is also required to be monitored. Whereas axis or x, these are called input variable. These are also called key process input variable, KPIVs. And y is also called KPOV, that is key process output variable. Okay, so this is also called cause, problem, on, and this is required to be controlled. And to get result, should we focus on y or x? We should be focusing on axis, because we need to focus on x, identify x, and we need to control axis to get impact on y. If we talk about nature of the problem, over here we can see this is a process which is off target. Okay, and we can see here this is lower specification limit, this is upper specification limit, and process we can see It's a bell-shaped curve, but this is shifted towards the left side. So some of the products are falling outside the lower specification limit. That means there are some rejection. Okay, but here you can see lower specification limit and upper specification limit. The variation is very high. The spread is very high, which means that standard deviation is high because when we talk about variation, there are multiple measures of variation, and standard deviation is the very common metric to measure the variation. And Six Sigma, we measure standard deviation to understand how much variation is there in the process. So over here in the picture, we can see all the observations. This is the dots or the observations are scattered. It means very high variation. And over here, even though they are close, but it is not in the center. Okay, in terms of accuracy and precision, you may call this one as high precise or high precision, but this is not accurate because this is not close to the center or the target value. And over here, we can see they are neither accurate nor precise because they are all scattered and not close to each other and neither close to the center. Third one over here, we can see this is on target. The variation is very less and well within the specification limit. So this is what the target of Six Sigma also. For Six Sigma, we try to reduce the variation presence in the press process. Okay, and reducing it to bring it within the specification limit so that there is no rejections. Six Sigma identifies processes that are off target and or have a high degree of variation and corrects the process. So now let's talk about Six Sigma levels. And over here we can see this side we have Six Sigma levels. So 2 Sigma means 308,537 ppm or parts per million, which means that out of 1 million part or 10 lakh part being produced, we have probabilities of this much of rejection. So this is not a good process. Now we have improved the process from 2 Sigma to 3 Sigma. Now we can see that there is drastic improvement, but now the rejection is at 66,807, which is also very high. And now it has improved to 4 Sigma and the rejection rate is 6,210. So as we go on improving the process and we have come to 6 Sigma level, so the defect rate has gone down to 3.4. That means out of every 1 million part being produced, we have probabilities of rejection at 3.4. That's how it works in Six Sigma. So this can be called as parts per million. You can measure it with parts per million, which is ppm, or DPMO, that is defect per million opportunities. So this is Six Sigma level. Now, what is in it for you? So when we talk about 3 Sigma level, then it is expected that cost of poor quality would be roughly around 25% of the sales. This will be very bad. For an example, there is an organization which is making a sale of 100 crore. So out of 100 crore of sales, they would be losing around 25%. That is 25 crore. Okay, that is because of poor quality, internal rejections, rework, customer returns, customer complaints. So they would be struggling on managing the quality only. So 3 Sigma level is very bad because 25 crores and you are losing. Okay. So improvement by 1 Sigma level, that is a huge impact. And ultimately, we should be aiming for 6 Sigma. When we achieve 6 Sigma level, that will be impacting our market capitalization, that will be impacting our profitability, and customer would be also happy, employees would be also happy. So there will be happiness everywhere. Okay, now let's talk about project selection. So when we talk about Six Sigma, there are basically projects. We need to identify projects and we need to drive projects. In Six Sigma, we have different levels: Six Sigma, Green Belt, Black Belt, Master Black Belt, Champion. There are yellow belts also. And in some companies, there are white belts also. So project selection, when we talk about, there are many ways in which projects are selected. And ultimately, it should be a business case. There should be some financial gains. So when we talk about Six Sigma, generally the focus of Six Sigma projects are on financial gains, and it varies from organization to organization. There are some companies who have target of around 20 lakhs of saving per project, different targets for green belt, different targets for black belt. For an example, in one of the company, I was heading operational excellence at a group level, pan-India level, and we have set target of minimum 10 lakhs of saving for a green belt project. That was basically in the initial phase of our project launching. when we were new to that program, Six Sigma. So we have targeted 10 lakhs of minimum saving per green belt of project. And in black belt projects, we were targeting 25 lakhs initially. And later on, we have also increased the savings when the things become mature. So there is no hard and fast rule, but financial savings are the norms. But the number can vary depending upon the complexity and the size of the organization and their requirements. Okay. For example, in some companies, they have a target of 1 crore of rupees of saving for every black belt projects. So that level is also there. And some black belts and master black belts are there in many companies who are having good salary, very good salary, that goes into lakhs. And they are full-time people who are driving Six Sigma projects. So in fact, from Quality Hub India only, lot many people who have got certified Six Sigma black belt, they have got good opportunity and they have been placed in some good companies and their salary has also increased by 30%, 40%. So that kind of things are also there. It depends upon individuals' capability, how they are learning, what they are practicing, and how they are applying also. Okay, so the focus is on customer satisfaction improvement. Obviously, everything should be linked to customer. If customer is not linked, then this is not beneficial for the organization also. And saving, I have also already spoken. 70% of the defect reduction, 70% sometime you may talk about 50%, 60%, but breakthrough improvement is targeted. This could be defect reduction, this could be productivity improvement, this could be reduction in cost like consumable cost, tool cost. You can work on some any other kind of cost, manpower cost, you can work on fuel cost, power cost, any kind of cost you can work for reduction and optimization. And if I talk about the duration of project completion, generally the green belt projects are targeted for 3 to 6 months, and black belt projects are a bit longer, 6 months. Sometimes it goes higher also. Okay, and the project selections generally are the responsibility of the top management or the black belt and master black belt, if available. If master black belt is not available in some company, then black belt, or if the black belt is also not available in smaller companies, then green belt, they themselves would be identifying project in consultation with top management, because top management, they
Hello.
understand the business issues. So they would be facilitating, they would be guiding, mentoring the green belts and black belts and identifying the projects which are business concern. Okay, so generally the business concern projects are identified. अब ऐसा नहीं करना है कि ऐसा प्रोजेक्ट ले लेना जैसे कि प्लांट के बगल में जो गार्डन्स हैं उसको हरा भरा करेंगे, बहुत सारे पेड़ पौधे लगाएंगे. So those kind of projects are generally not being identified in Six Sigma. Those are also good projects, but not Six Sigma projects. So doing CSR activities or corporate social responsibilities, that is part of the organization, but Six Sigma projects are not generally aligned to those kind of areas. Okay, it basically impacts the project must support the corporate business goal already discussed. Okay, so when we talk about project type, okay, when we talk about project types, this could be linked to manufacturing, this could be linked to engineering, transactional, service, or administrative. So Six Sigma is applied everywhere. Any department, any function they can use, they must be using. In fact, because when everybody are aligned, everybody is using properly this concept or this culture is there. Ideally, it should be a cultural building program because I have driven this concept. In fact, different other initiatives also like manufacturing, TPM, TQM in multiple organizations. So wherever we talk about launching any new initiative, it should be a cultural building program, not only application of tools. So and everybody's engagement is important. So employee engagement is also critical. So whether it is manufacturing or engineering or service or administrative function, everybody must participate. And how to select project? High volume repetitive process. Generally, wherever we have a repetitive process, mass manufacturing, volume is high, and it's a business concern, should be targeting those processes so that the gain could be higher. And wherever there is high saving implication, identifying those areas, and high leverage customer visible defects also that should be identified. Process that affect the customer. Now let's understand Six Sigma a little bit more with a garage case study. And over here you can see the garage. It's a house basically, and in house there is a garage. This is the width of the garage, and this is a car. So width of the garage means specification width, which is given by the customer, and the width of the car means this is the process width, controlled by the process owner or the manufacturing guys. Okay, so we do not have any say over here. We cannot control this one. This is given by the customer, given in the drawing. This can be managed. Now, assume that the width of the car is exactly the same as width of the garage, and you're trying to enter the car inside the garage. So what is going to happen? You're going to bump the car, and there are going to be dent and damages on the car, right? So what needs to be done? So for that, probably we need to improve the process efficiency. Okay, and we need to reduce the variation. So over here you can see this is case 1, this is case 2. So in case 1, the width of the car is exactly the same as width of the garage. So whenever you try to enter the car inside the garage, it is going to hit and there are going to be damage. So in manufacturing context, we can talk about defective part, defective products. Okay, and here in second case, we have reduced the width of the car. So in the second case over here, you can see the width of the car has been reduced as compared to the previous case. And this is 50% of the previous variation. Now this can enter easily inside the specification width, which is the customer given specification. So there is no defect and we have ample space in both the sides. Okay. So this is the beauty of Six Sigma. We can reduce variation comfortably, and that's what the target of Six Sigma. Now, talking about Six Sigma process, we basically try to reduce the width of the process by half, 50%. So design margin has been kept in such a way so that it is comfortable for process owner to manage, and chances of rejection would be very less, and we would be able to achieve our productivity norm, and there would be uninterrupted supply of material to customers. There would be no delivery failure. And when we talk about variation, there are various measures of variations like range and standard deviation. But standard deviation is more prominent, more widely used in industry. Standard deviation. Voice of the customer is the specification width. That is the tolerance. The tolerance given is the voice of the customer, and the process width is the voice of the process. So your voice of the process should be lesser than voice of the customer. Then you would be comfortable. Now let's talk about traditional and modern view. What is the difference in the approaches? Okay. So when we talk about the traditional view, this is the traditional view wherein people would talk about the end thing, that is the output variables like market share, sales growth, profitability. This is fine, but you cannot directly manage these outputs. So managing this output, you need to focus on the input. So what are the inputs? The inputs are basically product quality, cost of quality, service, on-time delivery, relationship with supplier and customers, credit terms, managing customers, imparting training to employees and other stakeholders. So these are the input variables. So once we start managing all these input variables comfortably, this is going to impact my output variables. And I would be comfortably having market share, I would be having sales growth, and I would be a profitable organization. So focusing on input would be impacting the output. This is the non-traditional view. You may call it modern view, or you may call it Six Sigma view. So in Six Sigma also, we focus on input variables, which impacts the output. Let's move further. Now let's talk about Six Sigma metric and normal distribution. So talking about Six Sigma, Sigma, which is a Greek letter, this is used as measure of variation, and this is called standard deviation, which is very popularly used in industry. And square of standard deviation would be variance, or square root of variance would be standard deviation. So the central philosophy of Six Sigma is the reduction of variation in all our work processes. It's not only about manufacturing, any kind of processes which is there within the organization, you should be working on reducing the variation. For an example, purchasing department, there is also having purchasing process. So if there is high variation in the purchasing process, they are not releasing the purchase order. to supplier on time, they're not communicating to the supplier on time, then there are going to be impact in the manufacturing process. So all the processes must be aligned and they must be also focusing for reducing the variation. Now let's talk about normal distribution. And over here you can see when we talk about the sigma level, you can see this is my target and this is my lower specification limit and this is my upper specification limit. For example, there is a dimension 10 mm plus minus 0.5. So this is 10 and the lower specification limit would be 9.5. Upper specification limit or USL would be 10.5. And my sigma is very high. And because of high sigma, I am able to fill in only 3 sigma in both the sides. Okay. So if my sigma is very high and I am operating at plus minus 1 sigma level, then I would have probabilities of getting only 68.26% of rejection. Sorry, okay material. And rest would be rejection. Or the yield would be this much. Same way, my sigma has improved or sigma value has reduced and I'm able to fill in 2 sigma level in both the sides. So in that case, my yield would be 95.44%. If I go on increasing the sigma level, I will go on increasing the yield. And at plus minus 3 sigma level, yield would be 99.73%. Okay, so at 99.73%, my defective rate would be 2,700. It means that out of every 1 million or 10 lakh part being produced, the probabilities of getting rejections or defective would be 2,700. So if I convert the same thing into 6 sigma, then I can see 6 sigma level, the probabilities of getting rejections or defective would be very less, that is 0.002. This is without considering the 1.5 sigma shift. Okay, so that's a different concept of sigma shift, which basically talks about long-term impact. So it is being generally believed that when the process is in control, there could be some factors which might be influencing because of common causes, and process has a tendency of shifting to either of the side, that is either left side or right side, in long run by 1.5 sigma. So if we consider that, then this would become 3.4. Okay, so 3 sigma we have seen at 3 sigma level, the defect per million is 2,700, and when it improves to 6 sigma, then the probabilities of getting rejection would be 0.002. Okay, so this is considering the sigma shift. So over here you can see 1 sigma, 2 sigma, 6 sigma. Okay, so without considering sigma shift, this much is the defect rate. And if I consider the 1.5 sigma shift, then the defect rate would be this much. So whenever we say that at 6 sigma level, we will be having 3.4 defect per million opportunity, that is basically considering the sigma shift, 1.5 sigma, which is a long-term impact. And that concept has been also given by Motorola. Now let's talk about defect rate. So when we talk about defect rate, we are going to see 2 examples over here. And the first example is a process is having 10 steps. Okay, 10 steps for manufacturing or for completing the process. And over here we can see each process steps has a 3 sigma quality level. That means the yield of each of the process step would be 93.32%. So at that level of yield, we are expecting that after completion of all the process steps, the probabilities of getting the success would be 50.08%. Okay, which will basically 93.32, which is 0.9332 raised to the power 10 because we have 10 steps. Okay, this will be 0.5008, which means that 50.08% of yield. Okay, and the defect per million would be this much, that is 4,99,200 defect per million. And the same way, if the process has improved from 3 sigma level to 6 sigma level, now we can see again same 10 steps, but the process has improved to 6 sigma level. So yield at each step would be 99.99966% yield, and the defect rate or the probabilities of success at each step would be this much. And the probabilities of overall success, considering all the 10 steps, would be the success rate at each step raised to the power 10, which will be this much value, or this will be 99.9966%, or 34 defect per million. Okay, this is what the impact of sigma shift. We can see here, earlier we had 3 sigma, now the process is behaving in 6 sigma. So there is drastic improvement in product quality when we move on from 3 sigma to 6 sigma. Now let's talk about DMAC methodology. So when we talk about DMAC methodology, it talks about 5 steps for Six Sigma approach, and which stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So basically, this talks about 5 phases of problem solving, which is first define the problem. Okay. And Six Sigma, we talk about breakthrough improvement or breakthrough strategy. So when we talk about breakthrough strategy, first of all, whenever we are defining the problem, we are understanding what exactly is the problem. We might be using some tools like 5W and 1H. Okay, we prepare charter, and then we go for measurement and analysis phase. So measurement and analysis are basically the characterization, and improvement and control phase are optimization phases. So 5 phases for problem solving, and the purpose of Six Sigma is to move from a mediocre company to a world-class company. Okay, so in long run, after going step by step, multiple project handling, imparting training program, doing cultural change, we will be moving from a mediocre company to a world-class company. That's what the aim over here. So DMAC, we have discussed about this in brief. It stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. We have 5 phases. Okay, and Y also, we have understood Y is a function of X. So we define the problem, wherein we identify the opportunity, we measure it, measure the output characteristics, then we analyze the input characteristics, we identify root causes, we initiate action over here, we optimize the access, and we control. That's how we do in DMAC. Okay, and this is the summary of DMAC, various phases, and we have stage gate also, each of the phases, and we use different tools for each of the phases. So I'm not going to the details of those things because those are covered generally in the certification programs of yellow belt, green belt, black belt, and higher you go, the details we talk about each of the tools. There are many more tools we teach. There are lots of case studies, Minitab exercises, Excel exercises, DMAC real world case studies we teach in our Six Sigma paid version programs, and there are practice tests, but a lot many things are there. Okay, so this is how we go. First, we complete define, then we go to measure, analyze, improve, and control. I'm not talking about the Six Sigma structure. This is how the typical structure of Six Sigma goes. So the first level is yellow belt, then green belt, then black belt, and master black belt, then champion. These are the formal certifications which Quality Hub India is also offering. Yellow belts are generally the support team members. Generally, yellow belts are not expected to drive projects. They are team members, and green belts are project leaders. But in some organizations, yellow belt also they are driving projects, less complex projects. Okay, and green belts they are mostly the project leaders. They are not full-time participants. They spare 50% of their time in Six Sigma and 50% of time in their routine activities. For example, somebody from maintenance or production or quality assurance or engineering. So 50% of his time they would be spending in routine activities, and then 50% of time in driving projects. And they have fair amount of understanding about basic problem solving, analytical tools, statistical tools, some level of understanding on Minitab also. Then black belts, they are technical experts. They are full-time members and they drive projects. They mentor green belts also, and they impart training programs also. Master black belt, they are basically the link between champion and black belt and green belt. They are mentors. They, in consultation with the champion, they identify projects and they hand over the projects for driving, leading, that is led by black belt and green belts. Black belt generally drives the higher level of complexity projects. Green belts, less complex projects. And master black belt, they are also monitor the overall program. They are program managers. Champions are plant heads, CEO, managing directors. They are basically sponsors. They promote and build the culture of continual improvement. They support projects, they provide resources, they remove bottlenecks. So this is the structure of Six Sigma. Talking about tools, there are lot many tools which are used. We have identified over here some handful of tools, but there are many more tools which can be used in Six Sigma. Okay, fishbone diagram, Pareto, YY, multi-voting, histogram. So 7 quality control tool you can use, 7 management tools you can use. You can use high-end tools like regression, correlation, design of experiments, hypothesis testings. There are many tools which can be used. Hypothesis testing, there are different kinds of testings like chi-square test, p-test, t-test, then pair t-test. There are different kinds of tests are there, jet tests. So variance test, there are a lot many tests are there. And regressions also simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, polynomial regression, ANOVA, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA. So different kinds of tools are available. So depending upon the complexity of the projects that is applied. And in yellow belt, green belt, and black belt, the level of complexity of the project also improves. And the tools which is being taught, especially talking about Quality Hub India, that is also at higher level when we go to the higher level of certifications, because it is expected that somebody at black belt level must understand high-end tools. They must understand statistical software like Minitab, how to use them, how to apply them, how to do MSA and SPC and other tools in Minitab, because the purpose is also to save time.